Hello and welcome into Big Ten Today. So happy to have you here. It is always a good day on the show. And Andy Katz is with me. I'm Kylan Mills to break down some men's hoops to start off the show. Andy, you bore witness to kind of a crazy game in Evanston last night. What'd you make of that?
Okay, first of all, this is why we love sports. It's the best reality show on television because it shouldn't have been as good a game as it was. Northwestern obviously was struggling, a couple wins in the Big Ten. Michigan poised to be the number one team in the country. And what happens? Northwestern gets out to a 16-point advantage into the second half. The largest deficit that Michigan had faced. I mean, the Wildcats played phenomenal, above their pay grade, if you will. I mean, they played great. Great atmosphere. It was half Wildcats, half maize and blue. And then here comes Michigan. Unfortunately, I hadn't seen them in person yet. So this is my first in-person viewing of Michigan. And it is so impressive how they deal with adversity. They've got like hockey line shifts that come in.
I heard you say that during the game.
Yeah, it's so amazing how if one guy's struggling, for example, Elliot Cadeau had 5 turnovers. Okay, let's bring in LJ Kaysen, who has 18 points off the bench.
Right.
Namari Burnett gets in foul trouble. Okay, let's bring in Trey McKinney. He has 12 off the bench. So, let's get to it because it was amazing how they came back and won by 12.
That is today's big story. I'm just going to let you do my job because you walked me right into it there, Andy. Number 2, Michigan avoided a near upset by Northwestern in Evanston. The Wildcats led by as many as 16 points in the second half before the Wolverines came storming back. They closed out the game, outscoring Northwestern 40-17 as the offense really caught fire there. Andy just mentioned Michigan was led by LJ Kaysen, who scored 13 of his 18 points in the second half. Head coach Dusty May and Yaxel Lendeborg after the win with this guy that's sitting next to me.
Well, Dusty, you guys were down 16 in the second half. That's the largest deficit in the second half. How'd you flip it?
Well, I thought our bench came in and played really well. Those young guards, Trey and LJ, were awesome, and obviously the front line, once they got going. But when we stopped turning the ball over, we started running good offense, and then that helped our defense as well.
No panic from the players, from the staff. You guys have been in this position before where you've been down a little bit. Where does that come from where this team is so calm and composed even when there's adversity?
A lot of reps, and then just a mutual respect and belief that someone in that huddle is going to figure out a way to make some plays.
How'd you come back?
Just sticking together, man, not letting the runs that they were making phase us because we know that we belong on this court and we're the best team in the nation. So it's like we're just going to continue to prove it every single game. And tonight was one of those days that we showcased when nothing goes well, we can still find a way to win.
Hey, and there definitely feels like there are no starters. There are 9, plus players. It's almost like hockey shifts coming on and off. How has this team been able to be so selfless thus far?
Well, nobody has any secret agendas, man. From the point guard to the last guy on the bench, man, everybody just wants to win. Nobody cares about any numbers. Today, you wouldn't even know who the leading scorer is, unless you check. So, man, we just continue to play selfless basketball. It starts with Elliot Cadeau, our sole leader, and just continue to be unselfish makes us get the wins that we need, I guess. Yeah.
Appreciate you, Axel. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Go Blue.
Where's the shot of Andy Katz barking along with them? Northwestern head coach Chris Collins, meanwhile, praised his team for the fight that they showed because they pushed the best team in the country to the very brink. That 16-point comeback is Michigan's largest since 2014. The Wolverines are the first team to trail by 15 and win by 10 in the Big Ten this season. And Andy Katz was there on site for it all. We've heard you continue to mention the phrase hockey line changes, Andy. And I do think the balance, the depth for Michigan just overwhelmed Northwestern down the stretch of this game.
Yeah, look, in this era, and I'm not going to be the old man on the yard here, but just in this generation, it's hard to get everyone to buy in when you've got different stars coming from different programs. And we have to give Dusty May and this staff incredible credit for what they've done 2 seasons in a row, especially this season, to restock the roster with returnees who have bought in with newcomers. And the fact that he got Lendeborg, Mora, and Marez Johnson all to work together. Incredibly selfless group. I saw it. And the other thing about Dusty May is he's so even, so chill. Never gets rattled. Now, I'm not there, obviously, behind the scenes every day, but I talked to him before the game, halftime, and after. And, even, steady. And his team plays off of that. Not too high, not too low. He's got a quiet cockiness about him.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that I've seen all season is Dusty May sitting in front of the Michigan State fans, completely unfazed. And she brought up the point unrattled. And the way he's built this roster, the balance they have, the buy-in, as you pointed out, extremely impressive. Now, my question is, are you concerned at all by what you saw in the first half from Michigan against Northwestern? There certainly have been times this season where it has not all come together, and it hasn't always looked great. What's going to be the biggest challenge for the Wolverines moving ahead into March?
Well, it's interesting you say that because a couple of these games have been against the lower level teams.
Yeah.
Maryland actually had them down.
Yep.
Now Northwestern, Penn State almost. So what they have to fix, if there's anything, is that the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, because that might be the next time that they play a team that's obviously a lot less than them in terms of talent. That first game, that 16-1. I don't see them getting upset, but that's where, and I think, it's the NCAA tournament, you'll be all ready. But they meet the moment in the big games. Nebraska, I guess, would be the only one that they got a little bit close, a bit of a close shave. And then, they just weren't playing well against Wisconsin, which is understandable. January, it's been a long slog. They certainly seem to be reset. I will be very surprised if they are not the number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament. I'm not saying they're going to run the table because they do have a difficult slate at Purdue. Still have to go to Iowa. Still have to play Michigan State. You have to go to Illinois. Look, it's going to be interesting, but they're the best team.
Michigan number one in the net right now, even though they're not number one in the AP poll. Meanwhile, in Northwestern, real quickly, got to shout out Jaden Reed scoring 20 points. However, this is what was expected of him coming in and joining this Northwestern team, and it has not consistently been there all season. Like, where did this performance come from? Where's it been?
Well, on the flip side, I felt like Northwestern really did meet the moment.
Yeah, they did.
With Reed. Arrington Page is a great example. I mean, look, they brought him in to do what he did last night. He has not done that. The buy-in, the effort has not always been there. Transfer from Cincinnati. I mean, he's got an NBA body. He looked like he belonged on the court against Lendeborg, Johnson, and Mara. So if he could get some of that down the stretch, they'll win a couple more games. But, I think it's been disappointing to this point that he's not been as consistent. The young guys, Chris Collins made a commitment saying, look, I'm going to go younger. This is the future. And that means you're going to take some lumps. But those guys grew up big time on Wednesday night.
Yeah, Nick Martinelli also struggled a little bit, at least in terms of the shooting efficiency Wednesday night. They need him to perform and to be pretty efficient for Northwestern to have a chance to win. The fact that they were even in this game the way that they were and leading by 16 in the second half, truly incredible, with their best player not putting up the numbers he's used to putting up. Northwestern travels to Lincoln to face Nebraska on Saturday at noon in a game you can watch right here in the Big Ten Network. So tough stretch ahead. Michigan, as you pointed out, also with some difficult games coming up here in the upcoming slate. Let's head to Columbus now, though, for a game with huge postseason implications between Ohio State and USC. Coming into Wednesday night, they were both sitting in the 40s in the net. USC had the lead by 3 at the half, but Ohio State really took control in the second. Bruce Thornton had 21 points. The Buckeyes locked up the win 89-82. Let's listen in to head coach Jake Debra postgame.
Coach, I know you're looking at that stat sheet, but that second half, you got to be happy with the defense of pressure and the way they played. You went small, but they still got stops.
I thought we came out, responded better. It's been a battle for us to keep swinging, Steve, and at times we just haven't kept swinging. Today we kept swinging against a really good team. We were able to get the win. We're blessed.
And then on the offensive end, second half, it looked like they started to find their rhythm, shared it. Guys were getting great cuts, executed better.
I thought the way we shared the ball in the second half was a critical part of the success on the game. It's something we talked about coming out of last game. Our guys made the appropriate adjustment. Our strength is in our connection, and we showed that tonight.
Well, Devin, watching you play at your size, I feel like you're like 6'11" out there. You see guys out there, it seems like you go in there, you like contact and playing through contact.
Yeah, I love contact, man. My whole family really play football, so, I love contact, to be honest with you.
And you look at going down this stretch, this was a huge win for you guys going down the stretch, a confidence builder.
For sure. I think it was a great win for us. Next game we're just going to lock in, keep getting work.
The Trojans' 3-game win streak comes to an end. Still maybe have hopes of making the NCAA tournament, while Ohio State certainly strengthened the resume from this win. What does a game like this mean when it comes to some of those March implications? Because this was huge for two teams that are right on the bubble. I actually think Mike DeCourcy had Ohio State as the first 4 out in his most recent projections.
Yeah, I would take out the qualifier.
Okay.
I think USC is still okay.
Okay.
I think both of them are going to sort of teeter back and forth on the bubble line over the next couple of weeks. So now Ohio State might be in. I don't think USC's off, but now they're a little closer to being off. This was massive for Ohio State to take care of business at home because they have not always done that. They've had opportunities.
Yeah.
They still have opportunities because they got this monster non-conference game coming up against Virginia, which is going to really have implications for them. Bruce Thornton, we said this yesterday on Big Ten Today. It really would be a shame if he doesn't make the NCAA tournament. He's been so loyal, such a quality player in the Big Ten, and he delivered 11-11 from the free throw line, and that was critical down the stretch. Devin Roy, you saw Smitty interview him, and he came up big with 19. For USC, it's just hard to judge them right now because Chad Baker-Mazara, who was an all-Big Ten player, he's out with a knee injury. They just don't know when he's coming back. The good news is Elijah Arenas has slid in and been a big-time player. USC was right there. They had a great comeback. They've got all the pieces to get over the hump, but they just cannot be who they could be until Chad Baker-Mazara comes back.
Yeah, health the big issue. Arenas, though, has been a pleasant surprise. Just starting playing in mid-January, now 3 straight games with 20-plus points, hit the game winner in that game against Penn State. How would you evaluate his early play in the collegiate game?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, there was a chance that he could have played on that first road trip to Michigan State and Minnesota.
Yeah.
But they took their time with him. Obviously, he had a horrendous sort of offseason with the car accident and then the knee injury.
That first.
It's really impressive he's even back on the court, let alone scoring 20-plus points a game. I just think he needs to settle down a little bit. And I know Muss has talked to him about, gets a little shot happy. But once, hopefully, Chad Baker-Mazara comes back, then they're going to have to obviously work together.
Yeah, and to tie a bow on the Buckeyes real quick, I know guard play is huge in March. You've got Bruce Thornton. Not a great three-point shooting team, though. Better inside the arc. What is the outlook for this Ohio State team as you look ahead to what they might face in the NCAA tournament? Because, yes, first you got to get there, then you want to try to win a game or two, right?
Yeah, no, the beauty of them is they do have really good guard play with Thornton, Mobley, and Royal. And then Christoph Tilley, who did not have his best game, but he's had really good games recently. He can be that inside player for them. But their guard play, Thornton, you want the ball in his hands late in the game to get to the free throw line. That's what he did in this victory over USC to go to 11-11. If they're in the NCAA tournament, first 4 or wherever, you want a player like that down the stretch.
They've got number 15 Virginia at the Nashville Hoops Showdown on Saturday, which you just brought up. Any early thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a massive game. I think there's some questions, why are they scheduling that in the middle of the Big Ten season when the Big Ten season is so rugged?
It's already a grind.
I mean, that game could have NCAA tournament ramifications for them.
Yep.
It's a total neutral court in Nashville, whereas Duke, Michigan, next Saturday, I mean, that's a number 1 seed line kind of game between those two teams in D.C. That makes a little bit more sense for sort of a made-for-TV event than this game. But, hey, it's important that Ohio State schedules it now.
USC hosts Illinois next Wednesday. Opportunity with an upset for them to climb up the net.
We'll see if CBM's healthy.
Spin.
Yeah. And Illinois, by the way, they got to get healthy because they got Indiana this weekend.
Right.
And Stojakovic was out with an ankle injury. We still don't know when Kylan Boswell is going to come back.
All right.